Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu syafil anbiya wa mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Yang berusaha Puan Aziz Azmi sebagai Registrar of the University Teknologi Mara. Yang berusaha Puan Sadah Ibrahim, Senior Chief Deputy Registrar. Yang berusaha Puan Alfina Bakar, Chief Deputy Registrar, the Chairman of the 19th International Conference at University Administrators 2018. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Thank you very much for that lengthy introduction. I think coming back to this hall gives me a lot of good memories. I think I was here about 3 or 4 years ago. I was the first speaker on the CO faculty, and this morning I just had a half an hour session with the Vice Chancellors of ITM just to ensure that my appointment as the board brings meaningful what we call addition to the family of UITM, and inshallah I hope I can help and contribute. Now I'm here to speak to you about a very important subject, and I was made to understand most of you are administrators of universities, so I'm talking in the lens from a corporate world. I've been involved in many universities and giving advice and views. I think what happens in the corporate world to some extent have meaning and value, to most of you, particularly when today we want to transform universities from purely being academic to be more industry-centric, in line to the industrial revolution and also the needs of the industry. So I think talent management and culture becomes very important, and I think I believe in any organization, and Petronas is no exception. The success of the company can only be good if the talent in the company is managed very well. So today I'm going to talk to you about two things. One is about how we manage talent in Petronas, sharing to you the experience in Petronas. And secondly, about the more fundamental, which is the core value. And the company that I'm associated with and all my traveling, and even in Petronas when I interact with the global successful company, when you talk to the chairman and CEO of the company, and when you ask them what makes the company successful, often enough, it's not about the business plan. It's not about, all about talent. Most of them is mentioned about the value of the company. So wherever you are, regardless whether you are a university, you are in a corporate world, if you want to be really successful and able to be sustainable in your business plan, it's not just about the plan and the money. It's always about the value system. So in Petronas, we have a very deep and entrenched value system, and I'm sure the university also have. But I just want to perhaps put a different lens in how in Petronas we use the value system to drive performance of the people in the organization. And as a leader in Petronas, we are all, senior management, we must be the primary advocate of values in the company. And I think it's not just about rhetoric. You really have to practice what you preach. And we are encouraged even in Petronas to go down to the ground to make sure that the value-based system becomes, part of our system. Now, just a bit about Petronas. To some of you, I was told there are some international audience here. Petronas is very unique. We are run like a professional company, but for all intent and purpose, we are given the responsibility and the yamana to manage the natural resources of the country. And it's been there since 1974 with the Petroleum Development Act, and since then, I think we look and from the national oil company, if we look among our peers, among the global national oil company, I believe by far we're one of the most successful national oil company. Of course, you have to benchmark yourself with the independent oil companies like the Shell and the BP. But when we talk about national, by far Petronas is the most successful national oil company. And that speaks volume of what the company has done over many years. So we are not local anymore. We are truly a multinational company. We have operation in 80 countries. Under downstream marketing, under my preview, we operate in 90 countries. So our operations are globally and our assets are everywhere. And we have shared values in the company, which is loyalty becomes very important. Integrity is very key. Professionalism is expected of everyone. Actually, we need to work cohesively as one organization. Now, this gives you a perspective about who we are, where we operate. If we look at this very clearly, we are operating in more than 20 countries, but for selling product and commodity, we're selling about 90 countries. We are by far the third largest LNG exporter in the world. We have refinery and petroleum products, mainly in the domain of Malaysia and Southeast Asia and Africa. If we look at the demographics, we have about 109 nationalities in the company. I mean, you can see the dimension and the complexity. And if you don't have a very strong culture and value-based system, how do you integrate this, this international people all together? And today, even, I sit and chair several board. We have German, we have Italian, we have South African, we have Argentinian in our board. I mean, the dynamics of the board and the discussion becomes and that's really is a very good opportunity. And we're a very young workforce, 54% of our workforce is 35 years, which is also a problem, which means we need to address the needs of our majority of our workforce. The new millennium people have different desires. So if you use the same mindset 20 years ago to the practice today, it might not motivate them anymore because the motivation becomes different. And obviously, we want to target a 30% women workforce by 2020. We are getting there. We are about 28% today. And I think the diversity of the workforce also becomes very important by gender. Because, whether we like it or not, some ladies are good in numbers, ladies are more disciplined than men. So I think as an organization, we have to manage that diversity very carefully. Now, I think this is going to be a very key slide. Purely because, as a university student, for example, as your job as administrators and university as a whole, our job is to produce good graduates for them to go to workforce. And as a graduate in the past, many, many years ago, me and most of you are, what do we look in an organization, apart from the name? Before, we look at name, we look at salary, we look at environment. I think today, that is still very important, but if you ask me, it's what value can the company brings to you. So we need to be very clear in any organization, and also administrators, you also have to be clear on how do you attract talent to your universities. It's just not about the name anymore, and whether it's University of Malaya, UiTM, UKM, it's about the value proposition. I'm heading the downstream marketing. Every product that we come out of the organization, the first thing we ask, what value does it give to our customer? If the value is not clear and measurable, then we have issues in rolling out the product. So similarly, if you want to go to a company where you're going to spend the next major part of your career, the value must be very important. So in Petronas, we look at 3 dimensions. There must be a value that tied to reward. At the end of the day, is what goes into the pocket becomes very important. But is it just monetary alone? I think monetary is not the only element that we want to look at. We also want to look at the workplace that rewards based on competitiveness, based on competency and meritocracy. We don't want to create an environment where the more you know the boss, the more chance. Once you create an environment, then you dishearten a lot of people to be high performance. So we must make sure and give comfort to everybody in the organization. The more you work, the better you are. You have better chance to go up the career ladder. It's not because who you know anymore. It's what you know becomes very important. And we also have to make sure that our environment, an environment where we recognize contribution. Reward system is not about money, it's about recognition too. I remember when I was very young in an organization, a company, of course money is very important, but a pat on the back and a say thank you and a recognition to my boss brings volume and would motivate me to the next level. I think that's still the value based in the needs of the employee. So you need to have an environment that reward and also recognize contribution. Secondly, you must have an environment that allow people to grow. The last thing that anyone want to do is to be static. If you are static in an organization, then you have no means to enhance in your career plan. I make it a rule, when you go to 3 to 4 years, in any position, it's time for you to revisit yourself. Where does it want you to go in life? I have what we call a very simple rule, a 5-year business plan, a 5-year growth plan. Where do you want to grow in the next 5 years? So the environment that you want to create is to be challenging and to make sure that for the employee, it is a fulfilling career and an ability to expand a global organization. And Petronas, among all the companies, I believe, humbly in Malaysia, is probably one of the better companies that can set you a footprint to a global, experience. And obviously UiTM, if I look at you also have a regional a national footprint because your campus is everywhere. You're not static in one. And we're just having a conversation this morning. We should also look beyond Malaysia alone. So those opportunities must be there, not just by workplace, but also by experience. And you also must create an environment where the opportunities to grow in terms of skill set and expertise can also be, further enhanced. So in Petronas, for example, we have the technical career plan and we have the management career plan. As an employee, you can choose. You want to be a specialist, you can still be a geologist and still be the chief geologist in the company, and yet get a very high salary, because you have to recognize everybody have a skill set, and you don't want to, take the skill set and the passion away from the individual and put him to become an administrator. And we also need to create an environment not only that you can grow, but you can also grow in a very, clear leadership role, because leadership and innovation and creativity becomes very important. So you need to have an environment that reward. You also have to have an environment that allows growth, but very important, you need to inculcate an environment that develops trust. Trust is not something that you take automatically. Trust is something that you earn. Even the president of the company today, Tansi Wanzo, he earned his trust by working with the team and going down to get the trust of the employee. So that's not something that you earn automatically. So there must be a deep sense of honor and pride. And we always advocate in people in Petronas, when you go, you're not representing the company anymore, you are representing the nation. So many people say going to work in Petronas is what we call a national service. To some extent, it has some truth, because when you go, you are carrying the pride of the nation. I mean, we are the only GLC government company or state-owned enterprise that is among the Fortune 500 companies. So it's not very easy. So we have to have some pride in what we do. So there must be some deep sense of honor, pride, and commitment within the organization. And obviously, the rich and multicultural environment that celebrates diversity, because we must earn the trust not only Malays, we have to earn the trust of the other nationality. For example, under my responsibility, we have 2 companies that's based in South Africa and the one that's based in Europe. And our board members and our management are all foreigners anyway. So to earn their trust, you must give them the feel of respect, and and in an environment that encourages diversity in terms of workplace. So the employee value proposition of Petronas hinges on these 3: a reward system, a growth system, and a trust-based system. If you put them together, we believe this will be attractive value proposition for employees to come in. Obviously, people like to work at Petronas, maybe because they like to work in the Twin Tower, work in Tower 1, floor number 70, whatever the case may be. It's just, I think that's it's only aesthetic. What's important is the substance in the company. So this is the value-based system that we want to promote. Now, if you have this, the next question is, how do we look and manage our talent? So you already now have a good environment. You are now attracting the best talent in the organization. And we recruit people from the best local universities and the best global universities, and we do send people to the likes of Harvard, MIT, Cambridge, Oxford, and so on. But the problem is not about attracting. I think the second problem is about how do you manage your talent. And managing talent is not very simple. If you don't manage them well, they will leave the organization. If you don't manage them well, from a talent, they become a non-talent. Because you're not sharpening the skill to give what we call to extricate the best value of the talent. I always look at a university student as an unpolished jewel. Our job as management is to polish the jewel to make sure that it becomes a shining beacon in the organization. Often enough, when you get an unpolished jewel, that jewel becomes unpolished for the rest of their life, and I think that you will not do justice. So in the organization like university, the same thing. I think you get professors coming in, academicians coming in. I'm sure they have talent. The question is, how do you unlock the talent? So in Petronas, we have several priorities in strategic trust. The first strategic trust, obviously, is to make sure that we find the right talent. And I think the robustness. Okay. Okay. The robustness in. Is this better for everyone? Yeah, okay. The robustness in finding the right talent in Petronas is very elaborate. Sometimes too elaborate, if you ask me. But Not because we want to make life difficult, but we want to make sure that we have the right talent. Every interview is not only interviewed by me, but interviewed by an independent party that's not within my business, to make sure that the assessment is independent. Then the employee have to go to an assessment center to see whether you have the right, dynamics, the right attitude, and only we converge, even then doesn't guarantee you an employment. And the same thing, not only about the first talent, as you go into the organization, the talent has also been evaluated. We have many talent council. I mean, in Dagangan, I chair the talent council, and every month we look at the talent in the company. It's a very concerted, conscious effort to review talent and to decide whether the talent is up to mark or not up to mark. It's always easy to point, something that's wrong with the talent, but when you point a finger, there are three fingers pointing at you. You have the responsibility to make sure that you develop the talent. So we need to make sure the talent is right, to make sure that pattern, not only the thinking, the paradigm or the environment, is right. Secondly, we have to make sure that it gives an environment. There are often enough, even Petronas today, we give a talent. When the talent goes to another OPU division, then it becomes a non-productive person because the environment in that, company is not right. So the environment also must be managed very carefully because talent, I believe, is always an asset in the organization. So the last thing you want to do is to destroy your asset. And particularly today, we do a lot of cross-pollination. I mean, I sit in the chairman of the committee that cross-pollinate people from Malaysia to Europe to US to South Africa and back and forth. When we transfer these people, we may have to make sure that the environment is right. So there must be a little bit of extra effort if you want to manage talent. I mean, here we're not talking in the context of managing employees. Here we're talking about in the context of managing talents only. So talent must be managed carefully, and because this is the investment that we have to make. Of course, we don't do this in everybody in Petronas, but once you come in as a talent, and we have a talent pool, this talent has to be managed carefully. And this is the activity we do. So we need to have the right environment, and obviously the talent also must be coached with the right leaders in management. I mean, you often enough, it must be in sync with your boss. Sometimes the boss bet too hard, then the talent becomes, very disheartened. So the matchings become very, very, very difficult. I've got Malaysian that's good in Malaysia, but you send them to Europe, into Italy to be based, they become, disgruntled and they become non-productive. Because why? They cannot manage the dynamics, with an Italian boss, for example, and vice versa. So we need to make sure that not only the talent, the leaders are also right. And we ourselves, even me, as a VP, we also go through a talent management program to make sure we become right coaching to be the right leaders, despite whoever you are, whatever experience you have. So this trust becomes the pillar of everything that we do. And it's very structured. And I've been involved, I've been back in Petronas. This is my second tour in Petronas for the past, I've been back for about a year. Many things have changed in Petronas from the time I was there 22 years ago. And I think they have progressed very well in developing a very structured program intelligent talent. So there are also priorities that we have to do, and obviously in any organization we need to make sure that we source properly, we need to develop them properly, and to make sure that they perform properly. And we use the element of right talent, right environment, and right leaders to do this. So our priorities must be the same. Many people can do the sourcing. Many people can do the development, but they cannot unlock the value of performance. Many people cannot source properly, but they are good development. But in Petronas, we have to make sure that the entire circle becomes right. And time enough, I believe we have managed and developed good talents, for the global world. And our, senior management are sparring with the global talent and all the other oil companies. And why are we doing this? As I said, there must be an end in mind. The desired result and impact must be crystal clear. What do we want in Petronas? We want to make sure that in this talent management program, we are effectively managing talent fit for the global growth. It's no longer the local dimension anymore. It must be global. For example, to be the vice president of Petronas, you must have international state. That's part of the talent program. Because to run a global company, you need to have a global experience. You must have a P&L impact. You cannot be just a domestic domain, suddenly become a president of Petronas. You must have a global operation, because you then understand the dynamic.
So we need to effectively manage so that the talent that we develop is fit for the end game, which is what? To manage a global environment or global business. You also must make sure that the employee is a robust employee value proposition to make sure that by doing this process, we are attracting the right talent. And today, for example, I'll give you an example. When we talk we have what we call a People Development Council that discuss the vacancies. Every time we have a vacancy in Petronas, even in KL Tower, in Twin Tower in KL, we look at all the talent pool. So there are candidates coming from Malaysia, from Europe, from South Africa, from Argentina, from Brazil. That is the depth of talent that we have. It's not only exclusively for Malaysians alone. So as a chairman of the talent council, I need to know who these individuals are. So when I travel overseas, a lot of my time, apart from reviewing the business plan, we must spend at least an hour with the talent in that country. So I have a conversation with talents. We have lunch, sometimes we have tea, we sit down, just talking about it, because I want to know who this talent are. So when we make a decision about talent movement, I have visibility about who the talents are, not just a piece of paper to give them experience. So managing talent, is very, so we need to make sure that the impact and to attract. So many people like to work in Petronas, but sometimes they don't understand about that. Okay, the third desired impact, we want to make sure that the workforce is agile and also innovative. I think this thing about innovation, I think sometimes it's an oversell word. Everybody wants to be innovative, but do we really understand the true meaning of innovation? I think there is a system base in Petronas to develop innovative culture. I mean, we don't only have training, we have system, we have program to make sure that our people continue to be innovative. I mean, in the likes of the marketing, when we go downstream, we need to be innovative, and we need to be also going towards the digital age. Because digital becomes a norm. Even selling petrol in the pump in Petronas station is going to change in the next 1 or 2 years. I mean, hopefully, if everything goes well, inshallah, by the end of the year, early next year, you will see some drastic change in the retail station in Petronas nationwide. We are transforming even our station to be more innovative and more customer-centric. And obviously, lastly, the desired impact is to align our leadership with the aspiration of the team, and obviously, more importantly, to the aspire of the country. We know our responsibility as a custodian of the oil reserve in Malaysia, and everybody that we recruit must be aligned with that division, because that's an act of parliament. We cannot, as far as Petronas today, we are just a custodian and we act on behalf of the Malaysian government. And that value-based system still stays from 1974 until today. And every decision that we make, even though it's a business decision, must be aligned to the aspiration of the country and to the organization. So these are the priorities in a very holistic approach in managing talent, and this to some extent supports our growth both domestically and globally. The planning cycle of talent in Petronas is very elaborate. I mean, we are now in August. This is the peak period of a planning cycle. By September, all our budget has to be frozen. And part of the big ticket item in the budget is about the manpower plan. And we now have a vision about what is the manpower requirement coming in the next 3 years based on our global growth. Whether we want a scientist, we want a marketer, we want a leader, blah, 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 and so on. And when that numbers are clear, we also have to make sure to match with the pool of talent that we have. And we have what we call the skills gap. I'm the chairman of skill group marketing, for example. If there's a marketing position, I need to have a visibility about all the talent pool of marketing in the whole of Petronas. If the budget says I need 10 or I need 100 manpower, if my talent pool is about 400, then I'm okay. There must be a ratio of 1:3. But if I need 100 position, I only have a talent pool of 150, then that's a big mismatch. So the ratio of 1:3 must be maintained. This is what we call succession planning in Petronas. There must be at least 3 ready-made candidates to take one position in any position considered in Petronas. So this talent management is not just managing, it's really monitoring that we have a right funnel of talent to meet the demand. And that is why today, sometimes as we expand, the transition becomes very smooth. I do have to admit, sometimes, as you even look at your internet talent, there are gaps that we need to be bridged. So today, Petronas are slowly opening up to take outside talent outside of the country and outside even the company. Sometimes we take talent from competitors. I mean, I think that's a norm. People take from Petronas to go to Shell, we take people from Shell, we take people from BP, because we want to have a global, what we call knowledge of the best practice. Sometimes we get people from the other industry. It doesn't have to be oil and gas. Like for today, I'm recruiting people in the FMCG, in the food business. Because retailing is not about oil and gas anymore. Retailing is about FMCG business. How do you do marketing? So talent sometimes come internally, and also external. But the problem is when you take the internal and external talent together, sometimes the mix is not there, because there are cultural differences. So that's why this talent management program becomes very important. You want to make sure that we attract the best talent internally, and when we do attract the best talent from outside, the sum of the two, 1 and 1 must not be equal to 2, must be equal to 3. If you don't manage well, the 1 plus 1 sometimes is less than 2, then we have a problem. So managing talent, in my view, the dimension, at least in Petronas, is just beyond a procedure. It's beyond just a structured plan. It's a very holistic in nature. And that's why it's a very elaborate process. Sometimes we always complain, there are too many meetings about talent, but when we look in the proper perspective, I think there's a reason why Petronas is going to this dimension, because our job is to make sure that the organization is ready with the right leaders going forward. Now, let's talk about the, hold on a second, suddenly it disappeared. People are saying differently or what? Hold on. Something's not right somewhere. Hold on. Okay. This is the Petronas 3P model. Petronas shared values and cultural belief is fundamentally, we want our leaders to have 3 attributes. Number 1, apart from the talent that you have, we want our leaders to be passionate about their work. Passion is very key. And that's why when we talk about Petronas leader, kalau tengok the senior management, cara dia bercakap, the way they speak, the way they interact, they are passionate. I mean, I'm generally a very passionate person. And I believe passion will carry you to the next level. I mean, you can be very interested in your work, but it's a passion that drives creativity, that drives you to the last mile. And passion becomes very important in the organization. The second thing is about we have to be a performer centric. I mean, there's always a very big argument today whether you are should be very heavy KPI or non-KPI. I believe KPI is very important, but at the same time, I also believe that KPI is not the only goal of performance. And sometimes kita are truly profit-driven lah, quality-driven lah, then we forget the dimension. So my scorecard by my boss have many different KPI elements. And apart from the numbers that I have to deliver, the profit, the revenue, I think 10% of my KPI is about people management and development. I mean, and that 10% is now broken down to many. How many hours do I spend in mentoring? How many hours do I spend in having power-up session, tell me session? All these are recorded, and every quarter we get a report card. So it's a conscious effort, because we believe, to create this 3P model, the leader will have to encourage the passion. The leader must encourage a performance culture environment, and it's the leader that must encourage the 3P, which is a people-centric organization. People-centric is very, because it's, I wish I would go later on what the Petronas culture belief is. We must be people-centric. I mean, as a marketer, I'm a customer-centric. Rule number 1, the customer is always right. Rule number 2, if the customer is wrong, refer to rule number 1. Which means the customer is aware. That's what customer centricity is. Customer is king, as a marketer. But as a leader, I must be people-centric. I need to make sure that my middle management, I know the dynamics. I must make sure that my middle management, I know the dynamics of the people. I must empower them. I must coach them. I must reprimand them. I must reward them. And every skill set I have to do. And that takes a lot of time. So we, as leaders in Petronas, we encourage to be a people-centric individual. Because at the end of the day, we want the Petronas leaders to be that kind of person. So that's why you say our president today, Tan Sri Wanzo, is a very people-centric. He sits down with us for a teh-tarik session every now and then. He calls us for lunch, groups of people, even though he's busy, because that's part of the regime that Petronas like to encourage. And this is not just about, I feel like doing it, maybe I do. It is a really, now it become a discipline. And so in every organization, every meeting, we have 10-minute session about focus recognition. That's how we take what we call our cultural belief, make it really important. 10 minutes in a meeting must be allocated to a tell me or a focus recognition session. Focus storytelling, sharing of experience. And we have to do it in every meeting, and that becomes compulsory. So it becomes now a norm. Mula-mula, of course, the members say, this is a waste of time, why we? But eventually, over time, and people realize, hey, this is a nice thing to have because we are giving a platform to share. So the 3P model becomes very important. Now, so that's about talent. I just want to, the one part of my agenda today is about managing talent. And I hope you can see the dimension and the framework of how we manage talent in Petronas. Next is about culture. The culture in Petronas, we have a very ambitious goal. 2020 is our R2. R2 is our next, target plan. We have a very clear. So we are, managing the culture and accountability to develop to make sure that our culture can result the result. Because we believe to go to that level and to go to be a leading oil and gas multinational of choice, the culture must be right. So when the company decide that goal, whether it's a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, it must be based on certain culture fundamentals. And this is what we do. We have many things. We have, we have what we call a Petronas culture belief, which I will share. But we measure this in many different ways. Number one, we have what we call the tools to reinforce and accelerate culture belief is to what we call a focus feedback. Focus feedback means we should solicit feedback from our staff, and we also should give feedback to our employees or our bosses. Whether it doesn't have to be solicited as part of the culture. So that orang berani angkat tangan and raise your hand, I got this view. We must create that kind of culture. And some people sometimes tendency they are very shy in their attitude, but we must create that platform. So I have, like I told you, focus recognition or focus feedback session with my team. Every quarter, I will sit down with my senior management. I will sit in the middle. They will sit in front of me. Then I said, okay, give me your focus feedback. What do you like about me? What you don't like about the way I manage? Of course, there are some people might not be able to take it. I've seen people that break down because they just to them it's become a nervous for them. But you have to be bold enough. But that's the kind of environment that. And we have a focus feedback. We also have a focus storytelling. We are encouraged to tell stories about what other people experience. I have the privilege to travel many parts of the world. When I come back in Malaysia and I go to I will do a focus storytelling to show what other countries are doing. I'll do also a focus recognition. We'll give a card, a recognition card, because you are the person that demonstrate the cultural values of Petronas. And the card is given to every employee based on certain behavior. And this employee will put the card at the cubicle. It becomes a very, a good a tool to use. Then we also have focus accountability, which is a type 1 character. You need to be accountable in whatever you do. Sometimes you can do, but you don't want to be accountable. So to do that, we have a team alignment program. We profile leadership profiling. Every quarter, I need to get 20 people to profile me. My boss, my peers, and my subordinate. 20 people must profile me every quarter. It's very easy. It's an app in your phone or your tablet. You key in and you say, Dato Syed ni orang macam mana? He demonstrate high performance culture. He doesn't demonstrate this. So that question will then profile the kind of leader that you are. And every quarter, my boss will review all the profile of all leaders, and this is your report card. So you will see already your profiling. If you are on the very low, not performance, susah. We want everybody to be in a quadrant of high performance, very R2, C2 character. High result, high in culture. You cannot be high result, low in culture. And you cannot be high in culture, low in result. So we have to drive performance, at the same time create the environment to work. So this leadership profiling, kadang-kadang orang takut lah because your report card is there, then you see your relativity among your peers. Then we have this cultural conversation that I was telling you about, and we also now we have a program today that we recognize behavior. For example, as I walk along in the factory or the plant, I see someone demonstrating the good behavior. I can have a coupon that I give, instantaneous. You have now demonstrated a good culture. For that, it's equivalent about 4 or 5 ringgit coupon. And it's not sometimes cash, it's a coupon that you debit in your salary at the end of the month. So it's a instant gratification, just to reinforce the culture. And this is also practiced in companies like Shell and BP. And from our experience, when we do this, the transformation becomes very fast. But obviously, we're not going to do it forever. We want to be a habit. But this is what we call the catalyst that we want to do what we call the behavior recognition program. Now, this is the framework of how we develop. And what is the Petronas culture belief? The first one is about result matter. We have 6 culture beliefs, and we have support. So result matter means I stretch my limits to deliver superior result. That's a behavior that we want everybody to have. Result must be very important to me. How to get result? I must stretch my limit beyond my scope of work. Cannot just be, this is my scope, my job scope, okay lah. And you ask me to go more, I'm not interested. That's not the behavior or the Petronas culture belief. So result matter becomes very important. The next is about own it. I own and I deliver, I don't blame others. Itu very important. Ini kalau if it's successful, everybody want to own. When it's not successful, you start pointing finger. Not in Petronas. If you demonstrate that, you're not an R2, C2 champion. You're not demonstrating the behavior of Petronas. So when you develop that culture, then people become relaxed because there's no more blaming game. And we don't go to meeting, punya salah lah, you are to be blamed. We don't do that in Petronas anymore. If it is, it becomes collective responsibility. The third culture is about focused execution. We want people to be focused and prioritize. 20% input that delivers 80% result. Not 80% only deliver 20%. It's a 20-80 rule. So we want people to be focused. We mean I plan, I commit, and I deliver with discipline. So in every Petronas meeting, tak boleh ada I plan, no. The people will ask, deadline bila? Siapa yang buat? There must be a deadline. Begin with the end in mind. Stephen Covey kan. So what's the end game? We must be clinical in execution. Kalau tidak, we got billions of projects around the world. Kalau kita delay, the company will lose a lot of money. And that's a stake in Petronas. Our capex, every year is not, it's about 40 billion. So it's not small. If we don't focus in our execution, we lose the opportunity. The number 4 culture belief is about nurturing trust. When I promise, I must deliver. I cannot janji kosong. So in Petronas, the R2, C2 champion character, when the boss janji, kena deliver. You imagine you are in an environment, every time your boss, okay, I do something, it's always become unfulfilled promise. What kind of feeling will you have in the organization? I don't think it's very, very nice environment to be in. And particularly when you talk to salesmen selalu janji kosong. They want to promise everything. So for us, nurturing trust becomes very important. Next is about tell me. Tadilah. I seek, I give, and I act positively on feedback. The key word, I must seek first. Before you want yourself to understand, seek first to understand before you want to be understood. So I need to be seeking feedback from people. Not that I seek, I also must act positively on the feedback. Jangan jadi personal lah. And some people seek boleh, tapi when it's not in your favor, you get very emotional. Then you take vengeance against the individual. You demote him, you transfer him out. That is not the act of R2, C2 champion in Petronas. So when I sit in the middle of the room, I must be brave enough to kena hentam-hentam lah. I mean, that's the character of a good leader in Petronas. And not only me, even Tan Sri President sits there, and when it comes time, it's our time to give him a feedback. And he would take it very clearly. It's not very easy. Some people just do not want to be put in the hot seat. Kalau nak, try lah sekali in your own department. Why don't you give it a try and see how does it feel to get positive feedback. The last one is about shared success. This is very important. The success of a company is not about the individual. No, you already result all the matter. You already demonstrate. Tengok when you're successful, it's your boss that only take the glory. Then you become very demotivated. So success must be shared in Petronas. I collaborate for the good of one individual, but only for Petronas. That becomes very important. So, result matter, own it, focus execution, nurture trust, tell me, success. These are the Petronas culture belief. And everywhere you go in Petronas, whether you are in Europe, in US, Brazil, this PCB, we call it, is visible everywhere. As a leader, I need to demonstrate all 6 without fail, consistently. Kadang-kadang susah juga lah. You get overwhelmed with work. Not only I have to speak, I have to demonstrate. So tadi result matter, I may make sure I am the kind of guy that results very important. I must also be able to tell me, so I ask my secretary always, every quarter, I need to have a tell me session with my team. Everywhere I travel, 1 hour is slotted for tell me session, without fail. Letih tak letih? No, because when you are the staff, when you see your leaders practicing it, you become very encouraged. Kan? Kalau leader pun tak practice, you know lah, cakap tak super BK kan, it's only NATO lah, no action talk only. We do not want to do that. So Petronas is very important in this. Now, last is, to do this, there are a few things that the leader must do. One of it, I mean, just, message to the living session become very important. This is something that all leaders must do. I mean, I normally go down to the ground, and every time we need to deliver the session. Let's Laniaka, it's about tell me. We have an app in Petronas. Everybody in the app can give me a feedback on the business. It's just an app. Then I can track all the suggestion and recommendation. So like this session, into the north, on the spot, they give me all the suggestion. And I give immediate feedback on their suggestion, what they need to do. The Laniaka is just the name of the app. Morning, this is what we call, this is people centricity. Sometimes they work for me, and in this particular event, I work for them. I serve breakfast for them in the morning, when you go to the terminal, blah, 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 and so on. I mean, this is part about cultural engagement. That's what people centricity mean turun padang. This is about promoting morning and mesra. Just give you an example. I mean, we do, of course, we also celebrate birthdays. I mean, and this has become a norm in Petronas, everywhere we go. Lunch with staff becomes something that we do regularly. Staff, talent, because it's the only time that we engage, I mean, we want to see the leaders of Petronas are basically human beings after all. We must demonstrate compassion, empathy, respect, trust, and not just become a boss that people cannot. I mean, we do want to do that. And people must have access to me as much as my bosses have access to me. And sometimes it takes a lot of effort. It doesn't happen automatically, I can tell you. As administrators, you have a responsibility. You cannot kata, kalau ada masa, or if I have time, I do it lah. No, in Petronas, you have to make time. So my secretary will manage my schedule in all kind of ways to make sure it is slotted. And when I go to these meetings and session, I have to be mentally prepared. Tak boleh sambil lewa, duduk, tak pandang, tak fokus. You have to leave everything behind. Yeah, you listen to your staff. And they must know that you are listening. Dari mana dengar. The ability to speak, my friends, are very easy. Semua orang boleh cakap. But the ability to listen is not many people have. That becomes very important in communication. the ability to listen become, you ask my wife lah, very simple kan. Kalau cakap, oh, if you ask me whether I'm ability to listen, my wife will give you the best answer. That I do not know what she's going to say. Because that's very important as a leader in a company. Of course, next is about family activities we do have. I mean, every one person, there's always a successful man, there's always a woman behind a successful man. In every successful organization, the family becomes very important. So we celebrate family. I think it's also very important. So the reason why I take these videos and I mean these pictures is to demonstrate that culture in Petronas is just not about bercakap, the three pillars, passion, people-centric, and performance. It's not about the cultural belief. It's really doing things on the ground. And these are only some pictures. And it's not only me. Everybody does it. My CEO in Italy, he also has to do it because I monitor his performance. My CEO in South Africa, dia pun kena buat with the Africans. I'm flying off at Andaman to go to South Africa. 1 hour, this kind of thing will happen when I'm there. It's a must. So program are adjusted so that you must do it because R2C2 culture, belief and performance, demonstration becomes very important in Petronas. This is focus recognition, you're given to staff. Sometimes kita ni, I mean, especially at UiTM lah, I mean, I imagine some of the staff in remote, if you come down, I tell you, it makes their day. Not only day, it makes their year. Punyalah suka. All you have to do is hold their hand, give them a pat on the back and say thank you, and they will remember you the rest of their life. A very simple gesture, sometimes we forget the element. Yang kita ingat nak bayar gaji lebih, nak bayar bonus and all that. And this is a tell me session lah. This is all my regional managers. Teh tarik session, 1.5 hours. You tell me what you want. You tell me what you don't like. Kabrah juga lah, sometimes people takut. I say it's okay. This is not about assessing. So we have this kind of sessions. So I want just to demonstrate, that when you talk about cultural values, either in UiTM, in many universities that you are, please do not make it as a symbol as just a program. It must become a manifestation of what you really believe in, what the culture of the company should be. And culture must be developed by the leaders, not by administrators, not by your staff. You as the leader, you shape the direction of the company. And that's clarity. And I'm talking leader. It's not the vice chancellor of UiTM, leader. You are all leaders in your own right. Absolutely, you are also at least the leader of your family. You got your wife, your children, you have to lead. Itu pun, you have to demonstrate this kind of values. So, okay, I'm a little bit running out of time. I came here on two purposes. I just want to recap always. It's very important for us to recognize. Number one is about talent. It's about finding the right talent that you have to source carefully to make sure they have to process. When you have the right talent, you need to create an environment to retain the talent. About career plan, about growth, about reward system, and you also must make sure that the talents are developed to inspire you to lead the company to next. And I always remember Jack Ma, in this famous speech. What do you recruit? You must always recruit people that's smarter than you are. I mean, fundamental. I don't like to recruit people who are stupid than me. Then what's the point of recruiting? I need smart people around me. But some people choose not to because takut you're afraid that your position might be affected. I mean, this is all rubbish. So talent management has many facets. And you look at Petronas, we have a system. And I believe the same system can be also used in your organization. That's number one. Once the talent is there, in order to sustain this talent and growth, there must be a value and culture system that you have to develop. What's good for you, I do not know. But in Petronas, the Petronas culture, belief, and shared values becomes the pillar. And we live and we breathe with it every day when we go enter the office. Talk is cheap. Implementing it is not so easy. It takes years to Petronas to get to where we are today. And today it becomes a seamless Petronas culture, belief, integration among the organization. And it's getting better and better. Of course, we're not perfect. And we have about 186 nationalities the diversity of the culture becomes very important. Sometimes what we do here, I get, some people masalah, imagine, if I go a tell me session in Malaysia, I give you a very real example. When I sit down in the Pedro Dangan, I say, okay, we call it power up. Power up di dua tengah, everybody say. My staff ni Melayu kan, very, orang kata, polite. They will say very hard thing in a nice way lah, you know. Oh, okay, Dato, kita kena buat, nak marah tapi tak nak marah. So you as a person, you can take it. But if I go to Italy, I sit there, my German, my chief technologist is German. Oh, he will tell you up front, Dato, we don't like this. Can you manage that? Not many people can manage. You must be able to absorb. Kalau kita celaka masalah ni kan, you easily can get sucked into that system because you're the boss. But as a leader, you must demonstrate true tenacity and cultural belief entrenched in you. Kena ego kena tepi. It must be open. So that's what Petronas in developing the cultural belief is all about. Yeah? So two things that I want to impart you with today. I mean, I know time is very limited. This subject should be talked about more than it's half a day, but never mind. Hopefully in my association with UITM, I can come back and be part of the board and create. I was just telling VC today, one of the things I want to do is look at a talent management program in the universities. I sit in the committee that interviews vice chancellors and timbalan chancellors in the ministry. Sometimes the depth is not there. I mean, this is my humble opinion. I mean, it's not the fault of the individual. I think we need to have a different dimension. So I think the talent program becomes very important. So that's important. So I will not leave. I'm going to give you one slide, one video as my departure before we go to Q&A. I don't know whether I can do this or not. Hold on. Can someone help me in the video? Yeah. How do I do this? The video. Okay, sorry. This gives you a feel about what we do during our visits. The focus recognition. This is what we visit the Pino even in the evening. Another focus recognition that we do. I mean, you can see it regularly. This is a focus feedback. We also do surprise visits sometimes. I mean, it's a very enriching experience when you surprise all your staff. This is our leadership meeting, and we don't only we do it also during our leadership meeting, when we call people to recognize them. And this is part of our agenda. Do a small gesture, but overall, I think it takes, it's very meaningful to them. So okay, tuan-tuan dan puan sekalian, I mean, thank you very much for judging my 40 minutes. So I hope you have enjoyed the story, and maybe we'll go very informal and do our Q&A.